42 degrees in the shade. But there is no shade here. Our reporter, Raphael, is in the Australian outback. His destination? A ghost town in the middle of nowhere. A highly contaminated place, deserted and forgotten. A lost place with a dark history that can still be deadly to visitors today. Wittenoom. In the 60s, it was even the largest city in the Midwest of Australia, with just under 1,000 inhabitants. An exemplary project then. Also, a glimmer of hope for European immigrants. Many Germans came here looking for happiness, but what they found was death. That's because Wittenoom is one of the most dangerous places in the world. 80% of all people who have ever lived here are dead today.
Wearing my safety suit, I'm very well protected. And yet, it is a striking feeling to walk through a place that has cost so many people their lives. The whole thing is very scary. What was going on in this cafe? Couples in love? The waitress running from table to table with coffee? The overweight cook frying bacon? I can imagine it vividly, but it seems as if they've left everything behind hastily. You don't really feel the danger. It looks abandoned. But you can't tell what is supposed to be dangerous here.
But the danger is everywhere, and the city is so heavily contaminated that the government shut off all basic services in the early 2000s, such as water, electricity and the telephone. Wittenoom has been deleted from the maps. It ceased to exist. The reason can be found on the street.
Look here. There it is. This is the corpus delicti. That's blue asbestos. Look at this. And it's all over everywhere. Blue asbestos. This fibrous mineral was supposed to make Wittenoom wealthy and rich, but in reality it was their ruin, and still does not allow life there today. That's what I was told anyway. Do you hear that? That sounds like an engine. Maybe a generator. But that can't be possible. No one can live in this God-forsaken place. Or can they?
Perth, on the Australian west coast, 3 days earlier. Our reporter found one of the few surviving inhabitants of Wittenoom. Raphael has a meeting with the president of the Australian Organisation Against Asbestos-Related Diseases, Robert Boyakovich. The native Croat, like many Europeans, came to Australia in the 1950s searching for happiness.
Good morning.
Good morning, Raphael. Fine.
Hi, nice to meet you, Robert. Thank you very much for having me. You used to live in Wittenoom.
Yeah, I used to live in Wittenoom and I worked there for about 3 months in Asbestos mine.
What brings you to Perth, 2,400 kilometers away?
Well, I escaped actually from Wittenoom, because once you're there, you got to be there for 6 months on the contract, and I was very lucky that I was able to escape, to Perth. The problem was everything, more or less, no accommodation properly, no food, job was very hard, intolerable, a lot of dust.
As early as the 1930s, asbestos was already being mined at Wittenoom. The fibrous stone was a popular building material. Because it insulates well and is heat resistant, it was referred to in Germany as the miracle fibre. From remote parts of Europe, workers came over to dig it out of tunnels and separate it from the rock in the mill without masks or any other protection. Even even though there were already suspicions of asbestos being dangerous at the time. Both in the mine and in the mill, microscopic fibers are created and inhaled by the unprotected workers and residents. Even years later, almost all of them suffer from a particularly aggressive type of lung cancer, which turns terminal within 9 months of diagnosis.
One night, Robert won a few $100s playing poker, which he used to convince a truck driver to smuggle him out of town and take him to Perth. Today, he owes his life to this decision.
Why don't you come with us?
Well, I possibly can't, you see, because if I go to Wittenoom, I would actually show that Wittenoom is okay to go there. Our policy is you can't go there, it's contaminated. Yeah. Government closed it, it's a closed area, it's no-go area, you see. And we actually had at least 2 people who actually stayed there overnight camping, you understand? Or they visit Tulioma.
Just for one night of camping?
Yeah.
As the consequences of the asbestos dust were being made public, Robert was founding an organisation that has been helping victims and survivors for over 40 years. He was able to distribute around €1 billion in compensation. He doesn't allow Raphael to go to Wittenoom without adequate protection. Only the safest is safe enough. In addition to the asbestos dust that Raphael must not inhale, a trip to the outback isn't without its dangers. Our reporter is expected to pack 50 litres of water, 30 litres of gas and food for at least 2 extra days.
After so much, it was clear to me, even if his stories and precautions made me nervous, I'm glad I met Robert and didn't simply go there unprepared. It takes 12 hours to drive through the outback. Hundreds of miles where I don't see a single car. There is nothing here. I wonder why anyone would ever get the idea of coming out here looking for happiness, let alone digging for asbestos. All that's waiting here is loneliness. No sign, Wittenoom, not posted on any sign. What's this here? Tom Price. But that's the 134. It must be right here, somewhere in this direction.
In 2007, the Australian government declared Wittenoom as highly contaminated and revoked its city status. All street signs and map entries were removed. 80 kilometers further out in the outback, Raphael discovers a junction.
I think that was the actual access to the mine.
A simple sign blocks the way into the mine and details the dangers. It would be easy to get around, but Raphael decides to keep following the main road. And then...
I think this is it.
No barrier, no fence. Only a board on the roadside reads, "Enter at your own risk." 42 degrees in the shade, but as we know, there is no shade here.
The heat slaps me in the face, but that's frankly the least of my concerns. I'm actually really nervous, because I have no idea what to expect. How dangerous is this place really? Do you hear that? That sounds like a motor engine. Maybe a generator. This actually looks like someone's living here.
Hello? Hello?
Alright, so what are you up to?
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, we are journalists from Germany. Hi buddy, And yeah, we were told that Wittenoom... are you actually living here?
Yeah.
Since when? For how long?
Oh, nearly 30 years.
Yeah? And are you living on your own?
Yeah.
Yeah? May I come in and have a look?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
What kind of a guy must he be to actually live here?
So, how is life here in Wittenoom?
Well, I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But all the people went away. Why did you stay here?
Well, I come after the mine closed, and because I like it here.
Yeah.
It's a good lifestyle.
This is an Austrian flag.
Yeah, I'm Austrian originally.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me introduce Mario Hartmann from Vorarlberg. His German's a bit rusty, but that doesn't stop him proudly showing me his garden. He can really show his pride for it. A homemade pool, running water, a vegetable patch, a solar panel system on the roof. A completely bizarre situation. I could easily forget that I'm currently in one of the most polluted places in the world, if not for my constant fear of my mask moving out of position. I feel so silly here with a safety suit and a gas mask at 50 degrees centigrade, and he is here in his flip-flops and without a shirt. But I still think it's the right thing to do, even if I am on the verge of having a heat stroke.
I don't want to be rude or, because of the mask. What do you think about it?
Well, I don't think it's a problem here.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been here 30 years.
It's safe here.
Yeah, I reckon the town is pretty good. You know, as long as you don't dig the asbestos up and all that, I reckon it's all right.
Okay.
And the big mess is out in the gorge.
Are you just lucky that you don't get the disease, or is it just...
Well, it's like cancer. Some people get it and some don't.
No, it's not like cancer, it is cancer. And I don't have to be the one who finds out today where you get it here and where you don't. But my mask doesn't seem to bother Mario at all. He proudly shows me his city, a completely different side of Wittenoom, which gives an idea of what it must have been like here.
Although the mine closed in 1966 for economic reasons, Wittenoom remained as the largest city in northwestern Australia. However, the inhabitants of the still heavily contaminated city began to die of lung diseases. Many moved away. A handful remained. It was not until the late 1980s that the government began demolishing houses and burying them in a large ravine. That's when the Austrian emigrant Mario scented his chance and began to earn his living as a kangaroo hunter in the area. At some point, the last inhabitants were gone. Mario stayed, and he found a new job.
We only have to read now. Now
Okay.
only read the gauges. Today, 42.3. So it's not that hot.
42.3 is not that hot.
No, it's not that hot.
Well, I say that's enough.
Genug.
Mario works for the Australian Weather Service. Twice a day he collects data: temperature, precipitation, cloud formations. He sends them using a satellite phone to the airport in Perth, 1,000 kilometers away. Mario's information is important for forecasts for air traffic.
A surreal scene. In the middle of this ghost town, a meticulously maintained, tidy house, financed with 2 shifts of 10 minutes work per day.
About $850 a month.
Okay. Oh, that's a good amount, isn't it?
Yeah, but you have to be here all the time. Like, you have to do it all the time.
So no vacation for you?
9 o'clock in the morning, 365 days a year. 9 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
So for me, it's very hard to go away, see?
But what if you get ill? Or sick, or you...
Well, I've just been to Perth, and I had to get somebody to come here from Tom Price to do it. Look, I can't leave here because of the power and everything.
Okay.
You have to run the power, and I got the dog, and I got a rabbit.
And what do you do when you break your leg somewhere out into the outback?
Well, I already had some problems, you know, I dislocated my shoulder and stuff. Well, just somebody, a mate of mine or whatever has to come here, and then I have to go away. But that's why I'm not going away. That's it. I'm usually always here.
Once the pride of a region twice as big as Germany, now a ghost town in the middle of nowhere.
Wittenoom. 80% of all inhabitants have since died as a result of asbestos contamination. Only an Austrian hasn't been defeated by the town. Quite the contrary.
What do you miss most?
Oh, nothing really. I reckon there's still too many houses here now. I like it, yeah. Because if we wouldn't have the asbestos, this be a big tourist thing here. There'd be people everywhere. And I wouldn't be here then.
On my trip to the contaminated lost place, I expected a sad, intimidating city. And that's Wittenoom, no question. I can't wait to leave this place and protection suit behind. For Mario, it's exactly the city in which he wants to live. And thanks to him, Wittenoom is not quite as lost as it seems.